The U.S. Supreme Court has struck down President Donald Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants and temporary foreign visitors. In a 6-3 decision, the court found that Trump's executive order violated the Constitution. CBC senior correspondent Sasha Petrusek is in Washington with the details.
Of all of the decisions in this session of the court, this was the one everyone was waiting for because it could have had such a huge impact on so many people in the United States. And it also was the one that Donald Trump had kind of tied his name to the most by issuing an executive order effectively canceling part of the U.S. Constitution. He even went to the oral hearings in person, the first time a president has done that. So he saw this as something that was very important to him. This is seen today, though, as a loss for him, a big loss, because they basically flatly said, no, the Constitution takes precedence over your executive order. The issue is essentially whether or not those born in the United States, anybody born in the United States, automatically becomes a U.S. citizen. According to the Constitution, the way it's been read for 150 years, that is how it applies. There is an amendment in there, the 14th Amendment, that essentially has said that. The two sides of this have argued that, first of all, it would be very disruptive, and secondly, unfair to many people who have been born in the United States, told you have U.S. citizenship, and now have to go back and question that. The other side, the Trump side, the MAGA supporters, they've been very excited about this because it plays into the whole question of illegal migration, immigration into the United States, because Trump and others in the Republican Party have painted this as a way for illegal migrants to basically sneak into the U.S. and stay there.
I do think that this has been grossly abused in recent years, okay? And that is the case that was being made by the plaintiffs in the case, and we're very sympathetic to that because it is a serious problem. We have it's become a tourism, birthing tourism, they call it, a trend where people will just come and you just come onto the soil and have your child, and then they're able to avail themselves of the welfare state and everything else. It's been abused.
That was House Speaker Mike Johnson, and that report from the CBC's Sasha Petrusek in the U.S. Capitol. For a closer look at this decision and the implications, we're joined by Len Saunders. He's a U.S. immigration lawyer, and he joins us from Blaine in Washington State. Len, I want to start by getting your reaction to this decision. Was it surprising to you? Well,
not really, because as an immigrant myself who's had kids here, I couldn't imagine the Supreme Court saying that anyone born in this country is not an American citizen. But I beg to differ with some of the comments, especially from Speaker Mike Johnson, saying that this will stop the birth tourism and illegals. I'm a great example. I'm a Canadian citizen, had a kid down here when I had my student visa going to law school. So would that child now not be considered an American citizen? So it's really far-reaching what that executive order had proposed. And I'm glad that the Supreme Court issued this decision.
What message is the court sending today to Trump and his administration, do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely, a chilling effect on some of these draconian immigration laws that the current administration has proposed. So, it has kept the government a little bit in check. What does surprise me, I was actually, expecting a 9-0 opinion from the Supreme Court. I'm quite frankly shocked that 3 the conservative justices disagreed with this opinion, and were wanting to stop this birth right of people born in this country. So I'm shocked that 3 justices still stayed on the conservative side of this opinion.
What does it say to you that 3 justices did side with that executive order, the notion of it?
Well, in some respects, I'm glad that 3 of them moved over to the other side. You keep seeing this 6-3 opinions on almost every single decision right now. There's really no swing votes going back and forth other than this decision. So it is encouraging seeing that there is a little bit of common sense right now on the Supreme Court So, maybe next year, there'll be different opinions and there'll be more kind of cooperation between the 9 justices.
It was quite a bit of critical questioning when this was argued before the Supreme Court back in April. One of the criticisms of this executive order, it's been the unknowns regarding stateless children. Certainly that came up in Justice Coney Barrett's questions. What were the major concerns there?
Well, that is the big unknown, right? If you're born in this country and they say you're not an American citizen because of your parents' status or lack of status, where are you going to go? Not all countries, recognize being born overseas with citizenship. I'm lucky enough to be 3. I'm Canadian, British, and American, so I can choose which country I want to live in. But if they were going to get rid of this birthright of Americans, where would these people go? To Canada? Maybe my kids, but other people come from oceans away or on the other side of the country, and it's not feasible to go back to your parents' home country.
There are other countries around the world that don't guarantee citizenship by birth. So can you put into context why this has been such a controversial topic in the U.S.?
Well, both Canada and the United States are built on immigrants, right? Both countries, encourage immigration. There's people like my parents immigrated to Canada. I immigrated to the United States. It's just part of how the country operates. I know some countries don't allow immigration, but Canada and the U.S. have. And my concern as a Canadian was if this executive order was upheld, what would happen in Canada? Would Canada maybe think about doing a similar birthright citizenship? So I'm glad that the court issued this decision today. I honestly think it was the right decision.
It didn't take long for the U.S. president to sort of threaten that he will take other avenues. He mentioned Congress as a tool he could use. What actual legal avenues does the U.S. president have at his disposal right now to fight this ruling?
Well, he can change the law, but there's no cooperation in Congress. So I think that's hollow words right now, especially with the midterm elections coming up. There's going to be less and less cooperation. So I think you're going to see more executive orders, more striking down executive orders with the Supreme Court. It's just, this is just another Trump initiative, which has gone down in flames. And hopefully over the next 2 years, everything will stay the same for immigration purposes. Like my livelihood is built on people immigrating to this country. And a lot of those immigrants like me have kids who were born here.
Len, thank you for this.
Have a great day. Thank you.
That is U.S. immigration lawyer Len Saunders in Blaine, Washington.